Let me start out by giving a huge thank you to my members. There's my Crafty VIP, then my Crafty Bugger, and lastly, my contributors. I appreciate each and every one of you guys so much. You don't know what your support means to me, so thank you again, and a huge shout out and thank you to you guys. I love y'all. Hi, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this loop chain. This loop chain is a little bit different than any of the loop chains I've made in the past, so I'm going to share that with you. One of the things I love about loop chains is you can do so many different things with them. So this was a brand new roll of acetate ribbon or luster ribbon, and so I always cut off the outer circle of it because it's always dirty and messed up. So I'm going to double the ribbons up, and again this is 1.3 inch or 1 5/16, also known as number 9 ribbon. And you can use acetate or luster are the two that I recommend. I'm cutting these at 6 inches in length. Now you can use Flora ribbons, Flora, F-L-O-R-A, if you couldn't understand me, or polypropylene. Those are also stiff ribbons or creasable ribbons, a little bit less expensive, but luster and acetate are going to be the ribbons that most homecoming mum makers use. So I doubled them up so I would get one color on the inside and one color on the outside. Just made a simple loop, make sure they're matched up, the two colors, and just going to make a few of these until I get the length I need. I'm making a 17-inch loop chain, so I'm going to have to make the loop or the chain just a little bit longer so I have enough room to attach it to the backer, because I want 17 inches from the backer down. Now I don't know if you can tell from the video, but I have the shiny side of the ribbon showing on both sides. So the gray and the green, both shiny sides are up. The dull side is back to back with each other, so you don't see that. You don't have to double up the ribbons, but it does make a nicer loop. It does make it thicker. And then using two colors also gives it this nice little 3D effect, because you're going to look at the mum from the side in all different views, and so you'll see like the secondary color inside the loop. So, and the reason why I went with the gray or the pewter is actually, pewter is the color of the ribbon. The reason why I went with the dark green on the outside is because that's where I'm probably going to put some stickers, some vinyl stickers, and they will more than likely either be white or silver shimmer, so that is going to pop better on the green than it would on the gray. So you can imagine silver on top of gray is not going to pop very much. And then I'm trimming the edges. I want to make the top there as clean as possible, and I'm just using one staple. Okay, now I have the 2.5 inch width, and again that's cut at 6 inches long. And then I have this silver sparkling ribbon, which is the same width. I think it's just it may be a hair wider. And I ended up cutting one extra for some reason. I miscounted. So again, I'm doubling these up, except this time I'm putting the green on the inside and the silver, the pretty silver, on the outside. Trimming that up again. And I realized these scissors do not cut straight. These were a brand new pair of scissors. They were awful. So then I'm taking that green loop and putting right on top and centered. And then I'm going to staple on either side of that. So I'm stapling the green loop, but on the side of where I had originally stapled the green loop. So that's why I only did one staple on the original smaller loops. That way I could staple on either side and attach it that way. So these double loops have 3 staples total, in case you're curious. Just like I said, trimming that off. And again, the green shiny on the green ribbon, the shiny side is facing up. So that's what you see on the inside, not the dull side. And then of course on the sparkling, you want the pretty side up. I was just trying to think of something a little bit different I could do, and I thought, I wonder how it'll look if I doubled them up like this instead of layering them, if I made the loops and then stapled them together. And I thought it turned out really cute and gave it a neat little bubbly effect, kind of. So I'm going to make the same amount of these, and I can't remember how many did I make there. want to say 8. It looks like 8, and I was thinking it was 8 was what I needed. So the amount of loops you need is going to vary on how you attach your loops to the ribbon, because you may try to make a 17-inch chain and use the same amount and it not work for you, and then you'd be mad at me. And the reason why is because the spacing between the loops as you attach them to the ribbon, which I will show later on, how close and how far apart will depend on how many loops you need. So if you're doing this for a name chain, you want to make sure that you've got enough loops for that person's name, especially if it's a long name, and then you may have to put the loops really close together to get enough of them on there. If they have the short name, you can space them way out. Okay, now that they are all made, I can attach them to a ribbon, and I decided to go ahead and attach them to the 2.5-inch width, which is the number 40 ribbon. So again, I need 17 inches for the loops, but I need another 1.5 to 2 inches to attach it to the backer. Sometimes you can get away with an inch, but sometimes I find that that's too short, so I usually go 1.5 to 2 inches is what I've been going with. Whatever works for you. And then of course I cut a dovetail at the bottom to make it pretty. Now I'm going to try to lay these loops out to see how far I need to space them. It can be difficult because since they're not attached to the ribbon, they just want to move all over the place, but I kind of want to play around with how I want to attach them onto the ribbon, and then also how close together or far apart do I need to make them. So that's why I do this step, and you'll see that I do this with pretty much every loop chain I make, unless I already know in my head how I'm going to make it and it's one where they're close together, then I may not do that, especially if it's for just it's not for a name, it's just for decorative purposes. I'm doing like a pretty blinged one or something, then I won't worry about that. Or if I'm making them in advance and I know how I want it to look and it's not for anyone specific, then I may not do this. But when I'm making it for a custom order mum, and I know it's going to have like the person's name or something on it, stickers on it, I'm going to really play around with it and see how I want to attach them and how far apart I need to place the loops, or how close together. So that kind of a zigzag pattern there, but I'm not going to go real zigzaggy like that. I decided to just kind of catty corner it back and forth. And I'm making sure that that entire loop, the top of the loop from edge to edge or corner to corner, is on that green ribbon. The same with the second one. The loop is not hanging off one side of the ribbon or the other. It's completely attached to that ribbon. So again, I'm just making sure I've got that second loop where I need it to be. And I'm going to try and zoom in on this so you can really see where I am stapling those. Alright, now for the very last one. Again, I'm being very careful about where I attach those. And there it is, it's done, except for now I need to attach some bling at the top of those loops to cover up the staples, and to because it is a blinged mum, and it'll really set it off and make it look pretty, which I actually did that during a live stream, so I'll try to screen record that and show a little bit of that, plus I'll put a link to that live stream. So I get asked this sometimes, and I don't do this all that much. I do it sometimes, but if you're worried about the staples on the back of these, especially if it's a chain like on the edge of the mum and you think it might get hung up on their clothes or something, you can take another piece of ribbon, and I'm going to put the shiny side out. I don't think it really matters because it's on the back of the braid. And now I'm just going to staple up under there and staple those two green ribbons together and try to keep them lined up as best I can. And I'm just going to slowly work my way up. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can hot glue as well. I do find that if you hot glue, especially if you hot glue the whole length, that it'll make it really straight and it won't flow. I really like the braids and chains to flow naturally and move around like they're supposed to. So just be careful about doing stuff like that. If you make your chain or braid really stiff where it's like straight as an arrow and it won't move or anything, then it's not going to look as natural. I just don't like it. I want my mums to be flowy, so that's why I do that. But if you just it doesn't take very many staples, and that just gives it a cleaner back if you're worried about that. So I just went ahead and did that, even though this chain's going to be in the center of the mum, and it shouldn't be an issue. But the mum is a single layer ribbons, so it could be an issue, but I really wanted to show that because I've been asked that in the past.
For homecoming either. I'm glad she told me that. Otherwise, I would have put some homecoming stuff on it. It's for senior night. In case anyone's wondering. She ordered early. She wanted to get her order in and let me work on it. And she also knows that I do tutorials and she's subscribed, so she'll be watching some. Which that puts the pressure on. Those two, I swear. They would, if I wasn't doing a live, they would be now. And I want that centered right in the middle. Now this is where Connie would cut this in half